It's such a good topic.
Yeah.
Growing up, I got my dad's upper body strength, just naturally. So my idea was like strength is only masculine, And so shortstop is the most feminine position, most maternal position on the field. Because
like her whole life depended on this one race. Like she literally left family, home. You think about pressure to perform. That's it in a person. And she got unexpectedly pregnant in New York. And
the Fierce Athlete Podcast is here to empower female athletes to thrive in their God-given identity and femininity. You are a daughter of God, fully feminine, fully strong. Welcome back, everyone, to the Fierce Athlete Podcast. So excited to be back with you and to be back with the Sisters of Life. We had such a dynamic conversation last week in regards to the beauty of sport. Both of these sisters, Sister Mary Grace, Sister Zion Joy, are pretty fierce athletes themselves as they were dropping, things like being on softball teams and soccer teams and trying out for the Olympics. And I feel like heart to heart, like they know who they are, but they're fierce. And so they're one of us. And so I wanted to continue the conversation. I wanted to continue to talk about the gifts we've been given and the gift of our femininity. It's interesting. We talk a lot about this, the importance of being, right? Be before do, and how as athletes, and we talk about this on our staff to just make sure we try to avoid it, is just this concept of self-reliance, right? Mm-hmm. We're so capable, especially as athletes, especially as like you all, impressive women, like we're highly capable. We can take care of ourselves. We can do a lot of things. We can juggle a lot of things. Yeah. But again, that doesn't leave room for the Lord. Mm-hmm. And so again, he doesn't cause injury, but he certainly, and it's because we're physical, spiritual beings. It's like when he does a surgery on the, physically or some type of healing physically, there is something going on in the heart for sure. Yep. And it sounds like currently Sister Zion and in your story, Sister Mary Grace. Yeah. And in my own life, the Lord is just constantly drawing us deeper. There's a deep invitation there, which is stunning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think a real invitation to live, I think what I've learned through it is especially in injury and shortcomings, is like, it's a constant moment of conversion, honestly, and an invitation to really ask the question of like, do I really believe that my life is a gift? And living from that, to live our life as a gift is to see reality with clarity. Like that's actually the truth that is about you and me. And I think it's especially injury and setbacks that we can question that. It makes me think of, in the Old Testament, Saint Joseph in the Old Testament. Well, Joseph, I guess he's a saint. I'm sure he is. But Joseph of the Old Testament, he has an awesome journey about rising and falling. And there is a moment in his life, and he's like been abandoned by his family, sold off as slaves. He gets falsely accused at one point. It's just like bad hit after bad hit. And there's a moment in the Old Testament where he is imprisoned, and he's in prison for the wrong reasons. He shouldn't be there. But he also, what's coming alongside this is they're discovering that he has all these gifts as a dream teller and like these profound gifts of wisdom. But it's not until he gets stuck in prison where he cannot use his gifts and he feels useless that he has this life-changing moment where he realizes, oh my goodness, everything is a gift. Like my gifts, like my talents, my abilities to be wise and advise people, my dream seeking, like literally all the positives about me, even the very beating of my heart and my capacity to breathe, it's all gift from God. And when he realized that moment, which I think that we all have to get to at some point in our life or constantly realizing, oh my goodness, this has all been given to me from a good providing God who loves me and has doused me with these gifts. Only then when he was released from prison was he like set free in a whole new level because he knew that his gifts were literally gifted. And so he could give them away and live them with a freedom and a radicality that he just didn't possess before. And I think that's the constant invitation for all of us, especially as athletes that are very aware of like God-given gifts and gifts that we've worked on and that have grown and potentially exponentially become something, that we've been part of. So I think there's a constant temptation to own the gifts, maybe to idolize them or depend on them more than God is asking us to. But I think for us, it's a constant invitation of like, do I believe my life is a gift? And in that case, we actually can give our gifts away with so much more freedom, knowing that I'm not the origin of my own career and destiny. Actually, I'm receiving every gift. And it kind of sets us free to even compete and and train in a whole new level too.
Yeah.
Knowing that it doesn't all start or end with me, that I'm just a
Right.
recipient of, a good God.
Yeah. Amen.
Hmm.
Sister Zayed, I'm thinking of, I love to talk about softball in terms of failure. So just thinking of you going to the World Series every year growing up. And but to your point, Sister Mary Grace, it's like, then we can fail freely, if that makes sense, right? Because we can hold whatever it is, our gifts, the game, the at bat, whatever, with just this radical freedom, knowing that this is right. To your point, this has been given, and Lord, I'm giving it back to you in this moment. And it's interesting because we think if we give something away, it's taken, and it's actually with the Lord, it's multiplied.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
This is shifting slightly, but I think it fits in. I think something that I know growing up, I maybe struggled with because of kind of the athletic culture. I grew up with this lie that, well, I'm not feminine because I'm tall and I'm athletic, and historically, I was called a tomboy, etc. But we just are feminine. Like the fact that I'm created as a woman, I just am feminine. Now I can try to reject that. But there's a very feminine nature, I think, to sport, right? The teamwork, the camaraderie, the openness, the receptivity, the bearing forth life. And that's what we love to kind of flesh out and talk about. But, you both are living your femininity in such a beautiful, radiant, radical, wild, if you will, way. Talk about the gift of femininity and how sport has played into that and how you've come to realize that in your own lives.
Can I go?
Please. Oh, yeah, she's roaring.
So it's such a good topic.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful because it's true. Like growing up, I got my dad's upper body strength. It just naturally. So, I could pick up things that most women my age couldn't do. And so my idea was like strength is only masculine, And so it was a real journey of like realizing that is actually a feminine trait of the heart, this strength, this maternal strength. And in praying before this podcast, I was praying actually with being a shortstop, which was my position in softball. And I wasn't just shortstop because I'm short. Okay, just to clarify, but shortstop, if you know the position, they are, I think this is my own prayer. My prayer is that shortstop is the most feminine position, most maternal position on the field. Because a shortstop has to be ready as soon as the batter hits the ball to be able to adapt to the needs of my fellow teammates. So if the ball hits and second base has to go cover first, I'm running to second to cover second. So I'm covering my teammate. That's to my left. Or if a third baseman needs to run home, I'm running right to go cover third, or I'm fielding it myself. Your shortstop's like on her toes, ready to adapt. And I was just praying with that of like, what a feminine trait, because the feminine heart is able to perceive the needs of those around me. That's one of our beautiful traits of the feminine genius, to receive the needs and then to adapt to those needs. So I just thought that was cool.
That's awesome.
Shortstop.
Unbelievable. And I always talk about like the element of receptivity, right? It's revealed in our bodies. And when you say like receptivity, like the men, they're more geared towards sacrifice, right? Jesus, we're receptive like Mary, and people are like receptivity, but it's an active receptivity. And to your point with a shortstop, you're not just sitting there like, twiddling your thumbs, like, oh, I guess what's going to happen next? You are, and I mean, down to a biological level, like we are always we're activating, right, to be receptive to life.
Totally.
But I love that because in that position, as a shortstop, you're receptive, but it's like an active receptivity, and then you just know how to act, you know how to serve, you know how to physically serve, but I think in relationships too, you know how to love.
Totally.
And that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. I know. I mean, the amount of sports analogies that have fed my spiritual life, I have to say it is incredible. And I would say to be open to that too, I think as women too, we do have a sensitive spirit, not in a negative way, but actually we can perceive really, really beautifully, really deeply, of being aware of each other, being more aware of the persons. That's a gift that we have. And you think about that on the sports field, like being sensitive to one another and the needs and predicting plays and responding. Like, I think the sensitivity of the feminine spirit is like so underrated. No, so saying that, I did want to say two other things too, even with that. I remember discovering something. I played a little bit of college soccer. And I remember trying out.
Way to throw that out. Like you're talking about Olympics. Oh, I also actually played college soccer. Well, college soccer player. Like, come on.
It's true. So maybe you'll be able to tease this out for me more. Thank you. But I remember I made this team. And I remember the coach, the first training session, he's like, okay, everybody tell me what your positions are. Like, what have you been used to playing? And I was like, absolutely attack. I was like, I love finishing off plays. I had no fear of using my head, which was an advantage in women's sports. I had the fearlessness there is both your advantage and against you. But anyway, so I was like fearless in that way. I was like happy to finish off. We played one game and the next game he moves me to defense. And I was like humiliated. I was like, this is not my strength. This is not what I want to do. It's like boring. You're like reactive. I just hated everything about it and was really upset and hurt actually. And kind of felt a little bit snubbed by the coach. And he kind of didn't give me any reasons, which to his credit, he kind of just let me play. And I played another 2 or 3 games. And, I discovered what I would say was like a discovery of my own femininity in the invitation to be like a defensive nurturer of a team. Like there was something that awoke in my heart that I didn't know was there. And the more I played defense, the more I noticed this part of me that was growing of like being aware of my teammates and how could I back them up and how could I express, my love in sport of like being aware and sensitive and defensive of what I saw was good and true, whether that's saving the ball from the goal. But it was like, I was so, moved to receive what someone else saw in me. And then even just to say too, like if you haven't experienced traits of femininity or they seem quite foreign, to be open to seeing them develop and learning more on a spiritual level will always teach us something about a physical level of both ways. Yep. And so I remember when I first heard sensitivity, like I had like a knee-jerk reaction of like, ew, that sounds like, I don't know, like a weakness, but actually like a sensitivity on the sports field is key. If you can read plays and be aware of things and predict things, I mean, that's like the secret sauce of almost any sport. And then, but especially this defensive quality that I would also say is like a spiritual maternity, that you don't have to be a mother to be maternal. This is a feminine trait that is aware of the needs of others and looks to nurture, even if at the cost of our own body. And that came out on the sports field that I could never have predicted. So just encouragement to be open to discovering these feminine traits on the sports field. And it might not be what you first think of. You might discover that and see it come out in a way that you didn't see. And I would say, just to add to that too, I do think there's a huge capacity in women's sports for fostering authentic friendship. I think we have such a capacity as women that I think if we lose the discipline and the wildness, we can easily go to extremes, to be too wild or to be over-disciplined. But actually, I think there's such a potency in female sports that if we lived authentic friendship, I think we'd see difference in our happiness. I think we would see difference in the way we played sports and backed each other up. But I think as women, we can bring a lot forward to the field and each other's lives by holding each other to virtuous friendship. And I think that's something, that there's a need for, but a great potential. Yeah.
And it's also, I mean, teammates are kind of primed for that. Like when you suffer with someone,
oh my gosh,
you just bond.
Yeah.
But then when you can, like I'm thinking of our listeners, right? And a lot of them, they might feel a sense of isolation on their team. Well, I'm the only faith-filled person, or I don't know. I think in culture outside of sport, and I think within sport too, it's a lot of women tearing each other down and whatever, et cetera. But when you can be a light on a team, invite others into that authentic friendship, but when the Lord is a part of that,
watch out.
To your point. Yeah. Watch out. Really.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you want to talk about two, like you said this earlier, like two lungs, like athletic and holiness, and the virtues like are hand in hand in that. But in a world that is struggling so much with isolation,
yes,
I would encourage our listeners to look around and to be that friend for others, because time and time again in my own life, I've seen when I've been that friend for others, and they maybe weren't on my level. Like athletes know how to rise. They know how to they know how to be challenged. They know how to grow in the spiritual life. Yep. And then suddenly you're like, oh, I got somebody running next to me. And I think it's been uniquely athletes. I'm kind of having this epiphany, sister, that have been those that have been willing to be challenged and to rise and are already so primed because of the virtue they've learned in sport for that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Amen.
It makes me think of a wise old priest once defined peace for me as being securely possessed by the beloved. Like when we're truly at peace,
Awesome.
we are securely possessed by our beloved. Like that's our anchor. That's our pillar of truth. And so when you were, just sharing about, comparisons that can happen on a team or always trying to, like elbow each other out, or the different persecutions that can come because of our faith. Like if a woman, especially on a team, like an athlete, like with this heart of this fierce heart, this courageous heart is securely possessed by the beloved, like that's only going to be this rock in the midst of the team where, these petty competitions or whatever happens, like they can't touch her,
And I think you've literally just named the crux of like the feminine identity. Like that's what it all comes down to, is like knowing who we belong to. And knowing that steady, secure belonging, we can then reach out to others and go from there. But you're right, that's kind of like the crux of, knowing who we belong to is the most essential ingredient of our femininity. And when you know Christ the Lord, and we're all growing in that identity, that's like forever. Thanks be to God that never comes to an end. Like that's a training ground that you'll never be totally ready for. But constantly receiving, constantly growing, constantly going deeper in that relationship. That's the eternal crown that we're looking for, is that never ends and the training never finishes. But having that stabilized in our feminine identity, it's like everything else we can grow and learn and step into, suffer persecution, enter relationships. But without that piece, there'll always be something missing.
Yeah. What a good, like, I'm going to put that line in our show notes, but an encouraging line as we wrap up of, really striving for that security. Which only happens, right? It's not the goals, it's not the gold medal. It only happens in the presence of the Lord.
Totally.
Yeah. As we wrap up, I would love to just you both to briefly just speak into this. And this is a sensitive issue. But it's kind of one of those things that if you're an athlete, you know about it, and if you're not, you don't. And that is athletes that find themselves in unexpected pregnancies. And I think there's so many, I'm sure, silent stories out there. But I think there's been some light brought to, professional runners who find themselves pregnant and they either are dropped by their sponsors or they're forced to have an abortion. I think a lot of our listeners probably know somebody that's ended up in that situation. Given that this is your charism, this is a lot of work that you do. What advice would you have for young women who maybe are finding themselves in an unexpected pregnancy, or our listeners who are likely to come across a teammate or somebody who finds themselves in that situation?
Yeah, great question. You're making me think right away of this one woman we had a privilege of walking with. Just a quick synopsis on her story, but it was literally moved out to New York to excel at the New York City Marathon. Like her whole life depended on this one race. Like she literally left family, home. You think about pressure to perform. That's it in a person. And she got unexpectedly pregnant in New York. And of course, a baby meant for her, it meant the end of her dreams, end of her goals. Her body was going to change. What was possible wouldn't be possible anymore. So she was extremely vulnerable to abortion, really kind of felt like that was her only way forward. And long story short, she ended up getting connected with our community. And it was beautiful having a chance to kind of like slow down and listen to her own heart. She was able to communicate to our sisters that she felt like listened to for the first time and not just pressured to move forward in a way that seemed the only way. And as she shared and was listened to, she was able to say, like, I want both my dreams and my baby. Is that possible? And we walked with her, and she's one of the most bravest. Talk about athletes stepping up. I'm like, if there's anyone that can handle challenges, I think we underrate athletes' capacity to go through difficult times and come out stronger, even if it means we're a little bit weak for a while. And she had a child, and I remember when she had a little girl, I was living at the same convent as her. She was staying with us. We take care of some of our mums. And I remember this one morning, I was like, hey, I'll call her Laura. I was like, you want to go for a run on the treadmill downstairs? I was like, maybe I can help you get back in shape. So we went for about 5 minutes and I was like sprinting on this treadmill. And then she stopped and I was like, wow, that was great. Let's stop for today. And she looked at me and she's like, sister, that was the warm up. I'm like, this. I mean, she's like a month after giving birth. But basically, she ends up trying out for the New York City Marathon a year later and she clocked her best, her PB.
Wow.
And she said, we asked her, she said, sisters, I used to run for myself, but now I run for someone. And she literally tapped into a whole nother inspiration that she couldn't have trained hard enough to achieve. All that to say, God sees your life as a gift, and any life that he entrusts to us is still a gift. And if God entrusts us with gifts, even if they're unexpected, he has a pathway forward. Our God is so creative. And my encouragement would be, don't diss the detours or the seeming detours. That if God has entrusted this, or you're in a situation like that, there is a way forward. And I think one of the most powerful things we can say to one another, whether it's an unexpected pregnancy or, the experience of an abortion and not knowing how to handle the grief of that afterwards, one of the most important things we can say to each other is I believe in you, I'm with you, and we can do this together. And speaking about like proper friendship, that can unlock an athlete. It can also get us out of a dark day, and it can help us take another step forward when all our options seem to be closed.
Yeah. Going back to that peace quote, it's like peace is being securely possessed by the beloved. And there's another quote, and I'm probably going to butcher it right now, but it's a woman who knows she is loved is capable of anything, can do anything.
Yeah.
And that's really what we found in our crisis pregnancy missions is a woman who knows that she's not going to be abandoned, that she is capable and is loved in this place of vulnerability. She can do anything. She can have this baby and her dreams. She can have it all. And so really just a word of encouragement for any of our listeners who perhaps a roommate, a teammate, a friend finds themselves in that situation. In our culture, they always say, what do you think you should do? What do you want to do? But really what a woman hears is like, I don't think you can do this. So what she needs to hear is, I'm with you. You can do this. I believe in you. It's not going to be easy. It might be, a great suffering, a great trial, but I'm with you in it. And I believe in you that you can do this.
Awesome.
Amen. Well, we say that as we wrap up, we collectively, the three of us, we say that to you, our listener. We see you. We believe in you. We're proud of you. You got this. And whether it's an injury or an unexpected pregnancy or a tough day or even after a victory, know that we're here for you and know that we'll be praying for you. Sisters, thank you. This was so fun.
Thank you, Sam. It's good to be on.
It's good to be with you. Thank you for being with us. And to our listeners, again, thank you. We will put the sisters' contact in the show notes. If you find yourself in a situation or know somebody, we'll give that information out so that they can reach out to your community. And until next time, everybody, know that we'll be praying for you. Thank you.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thank you again, everybody, for listening in. What a gift it has been to spend the last 2 weeks with the Sisters of Life. Again, please continue to pray for them. Please continue to pray for Fierce, and know that we're praying for you. One way that you can continue to support Fierce is to support this podcast via our Patreon community. We'll put that in the show notes as well. We'll have some bonus content with the sisters on there. And it's just a way to continue to further this podcast. If this podcast has touched your heart, especially if it's hit on some sensitive issues regarding femininity, regarding pregnancy, share it. Share it with somebody who maybe needs to hear that message. We would encourage you to do that. And finally, our takeaway, I think for this week is to really pray into that quote on security. On how do I not find my security in the things I do, but instead find my security in the Lord and who He's created me to be, and ultimately in my femininity, because as Sister Zion said at the end, a woman who knows who she is is a force, is powerful, is fierce. So that is our takeaway for the week. And we're so excited for what's next. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Thank you for joining us. And remember, be fierce.